Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here with my review of the Legacy Ninja Megazord from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So this is the Megazord, you could probably tell by the box or just general knowledge, is from both the movie and Season 3 of MMPR / the second mecha from Kaku Ranger. This is obviously the different one that was in the movie because we had that interesting looking one in the movie. To be fair, despite its interesting look, I actually wouldn't be mad if we ever got a legacy of that just because it would be unique. But anyway, so just to take a very quick look at the packaging, I just want to make note of it. There's always neat packaging for these collector's ones. And just as with the Falcon Zord and with the movie Morpher, they have decked it out in a movie merchandise style packaging from back when the movie came out, just like the regular stuff is in the design of the original era stuff. So you got a picture of the Megazord there, the name, sort of like a movie film strip on the top. There's the logo at the top, logo there. On the side here, here's the story. If you want to read it, you can pause it right now at any time. All that fun stuff. Here's a little thing, Secret Power of the Zords, again, if you want to read that. Gives you some stats on the bottom. The other side had a little promo shot of the team from the posters and whatnot. And then on the back, it shows you what you get, how they combine, and then they combine with the previously released Falcon Zord. Now, I'm going to get this out of the way, and I'm going to be taking a quick look at each Zord individually next to its previously released counterpart. Okay, so first off, we have the Ninja Ape Zord. I'll sort of just point out the differences, and then we'll just take a close look at the actual new one. If you couldn't tell, this is the original 90s release, and this is the updated version. Obviously, all of them are a bit smaller, but they're a much higher quality. They have metal pieces, just kind of all around better plastic, just better looking, better engineered. As you can see, the old one is a bit bulkier for sure. This one's more streamlined. You can especially tell with the helmet. This one's like kind of attached to the body, whereas this one actually is free from it. The arms are skinnier. You actually get movement. The legs on the new one actually separate. He's a little standing funny right now, but that's my problem. You sort of have this cheap chromish looking thing there, and he does have it here as well, whereas he has just the solid color. And you do have like the metal shine pieces here. It kind of goes with that hit and miss thing for me, whether the chrome or the metal looks good. I think the metal on this one looks good all around. And they both do come with little swords. I'm missing the one for this. Just to make note, the 90s one that I have, I'm missing various little things and is dinged up because I did get it used on eBay. It actually wasn't one I owned when I was a kid, but he comes with swords, and this one did too, but I believe they were more basic. So yeah. Let's just get him out of the way and just take a quick look at him on his own. So he's very nicely done. As I said, the helmet looks nicer and more free. I guess I was going to take those off anyway, but you can take those off like that. I'm actually just going to set them aside now, and I'm actually going to use them for something later. But they're nicely painted. I guess I'll take a look at one real quick. They're nicely painted, both of them, which is nice. Hence, the word nice is apparently important today. But as you saw, the arms are skinnier, and because of the way it transforms, you do get a little bit of movement there. Not only in the wrist, but in the elbow. It's kind of apparent back here, like how much of a space it leaves, but it's still kind of nice. And you can separate the legs and move them in and out. So he just generally looks a little bit more organic for being a humanoid little Zord. So yeah, nicely done there. Let's move on to the next. Wow, he's really Alright, so we have the two Bear Zords, the 90s one here and the regular here. As you can see, yet again, quite a bit bigger. The yellow is definitely a bit darker here. Details here on the toenails, which you don't have. There's dust on this one because I just like wiped it down once and I was like, boom, done. This is a sticker. This is actual gold plastic. Something that will be of note on both this and the Wolf and Ape is this one actually has the male ports and this one has female ports. So like, you would plug the Wolf and Ape into this, and then the Wolf and Ape plug onto this differently. So that's of note. This little piece which is missing, this little like spike thing, I believe was that sort of chrome paint. I could be wrong, but I believe it was. I'm missing it because, as I said a few seconds ago, I don't have all the little pieces. I mean, it's mainly complete. It was just small stuff, really. But yeah, overall, smaller, but higher quality. So just to take a look at the bear here, again, it looks nice. I think they did a good job on it. You can move the arms a little bit because of transformation, which is the same for the other one. And these two will press in because of the way the transformation is. These, in this mode, they're not really loose, but I'll talk about that when I get more into the transformation. But I wish they were a little bit more secure in the transformation. But that's really all I have to say about that. I think that this is a good update. Alright, so now let's move on to the next. We have the Wolf. As you can see, yet again, smaller, but just kind of all around better detailed. Honestly, none of these Zords are really that bad, but they're definitely good updates. The blue's a little bit darker. He looks a little bit sleeker. You can definitely see his eyes better. Like here, you can see the reds of his eyes, but they moved up the eyebrows so you can actually see them here. It all around pronounces it better, and the silver paint just stands out more. He's got the metal pieces here which stand out and sort of blend with that better to not make it look so cheap, because it stands out so much, you know, when you have the sort of cheap plastic and then the cheap chrome there. And his tail is silver. And these are solid pieces. And of note on this is he just fell over out of shame in the corner. These actually can move, so you can actually get a bit of articulation, so you can sort of pose them in sort of different, like, I almost said galloping poses, but that's more of a host thing. But yeah, so that's kind of neat. It adds just a little bit of extra dimension to it, should you want to display these individually. As you saw, his mouth also does open, but yeah, cool. Okay, next. This one's pretty simple to do, and notably, the crane is the most beat up of my old Zords in terms of missing stuff, but this one is a little bit smaller. It's probably the closest in size. The most noticeable thing you'll see right away is that this uses darker colors. This has like straight up pink here and here, and this has like a darker, like reddish pink, and it's stickers here, and these are actually molded in, so you don't have to deal with that. And as you can see, like, mine are peeling off, which is a huge bonus of not having stickers. The wings are white here, gray here. The transformation pretty much all works the same for the most part, but you can just tell it's like a notable quality bump there. So yeah, nicely done. And this one really is sort of different because it's not actually an individual Zord and Kaku Ranger. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Like, it doesn't belong to a Ranger, really. It's just, I don't know. I haven't seen it in a while. Anyway, let's move on. All right, now we have the frog. You can sort of see, like, how dated that looks there. But as you can see, yet again, size difference. There's that sort of cheap gray plastic mainly here. This is actually a nice sort of darker metal-looking plastic, which is nice. Just kind of a general, sleeker, more streamlined look. His little feet do move here with the little hinge joint, but he has like a little bit more of a range there going on, so that's kind of nice. So you can sort of get him in those type of positions and stuff. Neither of their mouths have tongues. This guy, his mouth opens at least, but this guy doesn't. But it would have been kind of cool to have a tongue or something. At least I don't remember this guy's opening, unless it's super glued shut. But yeah, so that's a thing there. And you can see here, this kind of uses cheap stickers and chrome, and this one just full on fills them in. And check out the back. That's important. But yeah, that's the difference there. The frog definitely looks good. They're actually probably the closest in terms of just looking at them side by side. This guy mainly just fixes a few little color issues and then just looks a little bit more streamlined in general. Okay, so now I'm going to bring everybody else back in, and we are going to build the Megazord, and I will show a side-by-side shot of the two. Okay, so the gang's all here, only for me to sort of pull them apart again. Honestly, the transformation for this is super simple. Basically, just sort of flip this guy up, and you're going to extend his legs out as they're going to become the Megazord legs. Just sort of get the feet out, position it right. The only sort of weird thing you have to do, it's kind of interesting actually, is you slide his front feet into like the knees, and that's how it's going to sort of snap in. It's just kind of an interesting little function there. I always thought it was kind of unique. So then that's ready. Just set that aside. For this, it's really easy. Just press these in, slide them, so they're secured, and then press this in after you make sure they're actually secured. There you go. And then slide these up so they snap, and then you're going to snap this right on top of Frog. Alright, so it's going to be a little bit out of frame there just for a second. Alright, so for these guys, also super easy. We'll snap these together. Make sure they're kind of level. There you go, snap that. Open this up. It's a little bit more involved than the original version because you have to actually fold these in. I believe actually you want to do this so they're facing forward. Whereas the other one was kind of that classic, you just straight up fold the arms in. It was pretty much used for this, the Shogun, and then the Turbo Rescue Zord, I believe. And then you have these little cover pieces which are going to become the fists, which look noticeably nicer than the regular one, which we'll see in a minute, because they're actually like silver looking as opposed to the gray. And then just set them here on the side of the arms. There you go. Wolf's just easier than even, I was going to say just as easy, and then I was going to say easier, and then I said just easier. So you just fold the feet up here, and then fold the back ones over the front ones, and then take his little gloved piece, snap it on, he goes on the other arm. Super simple stuff. let's pan up. We'll get a little bit of zoom in action going on. Do you like those zoom in sound effects? Because I didn't, I'm ashamed of myself. Real easy here for crane, just fold those in. Don't let it get blurry. Fold this up. Same as the other one, honestly. And then just snap it on top of here. And there you have it. The Legacy Ninja Megazord. Bum, 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 bum. That was Darth Vader. I don't know why I was going with that. But I honestly love this thing. I've always liked the design, but just talking about the toy, I think this thing is gorgeous. I'm going to bring in the original here in just a second. And honestly, it's not like the most, I wouldn't say the most drastic difference in the world, for sure, but it's a definite improvement. And honestly, the camera's pricking it up. Wow. Picking it up really well. Just how gorgeous it looks personally. I think it's one of my personal favorite Legacy Megazord updates. I just think they just did a fantastic job here. I really like it. It looks so nice and streamlined, which is, I think, the most important thing. I mean, all the nice little paint updates, streamlining all the Zords individually definitely helped that, but it just, yeah, it looks more streamlined and thin as it would in the show, which I think helps it. I always forget to mention this in most of my Megazord and Mecha review because it's almost not worth mentioning, but in terms of articulation, all you can really do is move the arms. For this, actually, you can move the legs a little bit. You can bend it here, and it's mainly a feature transformation, so you might have this falling out, so you do get a little bit of that. And with red, you can notably bend it a little bit because of the transformation, so that's kind of neat. So you can sort of get him in a kind of, I don't know, knees forward, bending arm with swords pose. So that's sort of notable, but I wanted to note that I always forget to show it in other reviews because this guy's kind of an exception with some of those neat things, but for the most part, it's always just the arms. So quick look here before we put the Falcon Zord on. Here it is next to his counterpart. As you can see, yet again, he is smaller. And I guess right now, looking at it, it does look drastic. But honestly, I think the thing that makes it look kind of drastic, and I guess drastic is almost too dramatic of a word, is honestly just the choice in color for these. I think that the stronger silvers here, as you can see for the hands, and then the actual metal here and there makes it look less cheap. Like it's like now that I look at it, it definitely is noticeable. But my point is that this thing is dated for sure, but I think it's far from the worst I've seen in terms of comparing newer to older versions. But this is definitely a great update for it, and I think it's most apparent in the coloring right now, and definitely in the streamlining. But this thing still isn't awful, I just want to make that clear. Honestly, the engineering on it is pretty much the exact same. Very few changes. The main change is happening really just with the individuality of the Ape Zord, but like in terms of the transformation itself, most of the stuff remains the same. Okay, so now we can get him out of here. I'm going to do this quick before I forget it and before we bring in Falcon Zord. This isn't really an official thing, but if you're worried about losing these parts, you can still put them on under here, where they're supposed to go sort of on Ape. And you can sort of give it a little, I don't know, swordy, stabby weapon. That's a technical term. Try not to use it too liberally. But yeah, let me just go ahead and grab the Falcon Zord. Okay, Falcon Zord, there's basically no prep involved. Just basically make sure he's standing flying outwards, legs are down, make sure that his wings are locked in because they can separate, and he's just going to latch onto the back. It's practically self-explanatory. The only thing, what you're going to be doing basically, is there's two little, like, divots in here, if that's the right word, like little slats, and it's going to sort of sandwich between here. And you're going to sort of just place it between the two, and then you can press a little bit, and that's all it does. It honestly doesn't feel very secure. Definitely not the most secure thing ever. But yeah, it does look cool, for sure. I've always liked this. The main problem, obviously, being the security, which I just mentioned. But honestly, it's weird because I've always preferred this Megazord with the wings on it, specifically like with the older version when I'm displaying it. But for whatever reason, I actually prefer to display this without the Falcon Zord, just because I think this looks so good and streamlined, like it does in the show, just a little bit more, I don't know, svelte. Getting swifty, you know how it is. So, like, I think the Falcon Zord sort of takes away from that more noticeable quality it has. So, while I usually like to display it together, I might just do it separate this time because I think it highlights the improvements made to this by not displaying it together, if that makes any sense. So yeah, my only real complaints with this are I wish the Falcon Zord was a little bit more secure in putting it on the back, mainly for like when you're on display. You never know, there could be some sort of like knock. you could run into your shelf, there could be an earthquake depending on where you live, and it would, I don't know, I guess everything would fall over in the earthquake, but my point is, it could fall off easier. You could be dusting a display and forget how loose it is, it could fall off easy. And also the joints here for Bear are a little bit loose. Not loose, but they just, if this makes any sense, they just move easier, which makes things just a little bit less secure, but it's honestly a minor nitpick. Like, both of them are kind of minor nitpicks, because overall, I think this thing is great. Like I said, I think it's one of the best updates. It's streamlined the design to be so much sleeker. The colors look good. Definitely one of my favorite Legacy Megazord releases, and I highly recommend it for MMPR fans and Kaku Ranger fans alike. But anyway, that's about it. Until next time, make sure to check out the Crazy Podcast at writersrangerambles.com, and of course, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Till next time, Dawson Rider, signing out.